In today's video, we're going to talk about AI agents. You're going to understand all of the parts of the AI agents, what compromises them, and how to improve them. So first of all, this is the table of contents. We're going to begin with the foundations, the core modules, connectivity, and production. So let's begin with the foundations. The agentic loop is what every agent, no matter how fancy it is, does this same cycle. And it's very easy to understand. First, it reads the input. The LLM that lives inside the agent reasons and decides what action to do, which usually is done through a tool calling. You can think of it like running a Python function. And then after the function is run, the agent observes the result and repeats. So it takes the result as input along with the previous inputs and reasons again and again. The stop conditions is whether a task was done, whether the agent has done this cycle up to a certain amount of iterations, if we exhausted the token budget, meaning we've used all of our credits, or whether something went wrong or a guardrail was triggered. So let's see the core pillars of AI agents. The brain. This is the LLM, and this is one of the most important decisions you're going to make when you create an agent. What LLM to use with the agent? In most cases right now, temperature setting a hyperparameter is not really important in nowadays agents. You can use any and each one of these. In the future, we could discuss more about how to tune this, but the most important thing is deciding what LLM is the best for the task at hand. Then we got this system prompt. This is the operating manual that allows to turn a generic LLM into an agent. It gives a job description and a little bit of a personality. So the first thing that you need to add in your system prompt is the identity. What's the role of the agent, its expertise and personality. Then how you want the agent to respond, in what style, tone and length. Then what is the objective of the agent, success and failure conditions. Finally, you can also add restrictions, what the agent must do, must not do, and what is out of scope. And also you can have workflows, examples, requirements in the system prompt, and as well points where we would do a human handoff to add a human in the loop. So prompt is like code. You need to version it, run evaluations against it. So when you change the system prompt, you need to evaluate the change and check when performance drifts. You can also add a few examples in the system prompt to help guide the agent on what and how you want it to perform and respond. Then we go to tools, which is function calling. Without tools, an agent can only generate text, but with tool calls, it can search the web, query a database, run code, or send an email. So a few things about tools. Use verb-based names for them, so you can really understand the tools just by reading their name. Tools need descriptions that should act as manuals for the model. This is not human documentation. Try to minimize the parameters, up to 3 parameters required than having a lot of optional ones. This helps them make no mistakes. Try to prefer enums over strings. This is more for coders. You understand why that happens. Make sure to have structured errors that give a description of the error to the model so it could recover on a next cycle, on a next iteration. You need to design tools that are impotent so they're safe to retry, and ensure one tool has only one responsibility. It's better for an LLM to call multiple tools than bundle and have complex tools. And one very important thing for production is always validate the input before you pass it to the LLM and the agent. The next thing is memory. LLMs by default are stateless, but agents are a state machine that can have memory. We have 2 types of memory for agents. Short-term memory that lives in the RAM. This is the context window, the history of the past 5 to 10 turns, the plan that actually runs right now, and what tool outputs we recently have. And this could be forgotten because this lives in RAM. But we also have long-term memory, which is stored on the disk, and it is persistent. This is facts, events, workflows, database storages, and you need to make sure that you understand what to store in each kind of memory so your agent can work efficiently, but also can recover in the future and be reused without decaying. Let's talk a little bit about connectivity and knowledge. So agents can reach out to other tools, third-party software by using MCP tools. We are going to talk about React for reasoning and RAG to have knowledge that you want added into the agent. So let's talk about MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. This is the universal plug for tools. This was open sourced by Anthropic in late 2024 and allows any kind of tool to be used by any LLM AI agent. This is like a design and architecture that allows connectivity to tools across any provider and any AI tool. And this is very, very powerful. This is out of the scope of creating your own agent, but you should learn it if you want to plug your agent to third-party APIs and make it, LM ready, so your agent can connect to other providers, to other companies and their tools. Now let's talk about React, which is a way to do planning and reasoning. This is a different way of thinking about tool calls in a loop. And this was done in 2022. So the agent begins by reasoning on what to do next. Then it calls a tool with a specific input. It observes the output and it repeats. So this is the flow and the loop that all of the agents done. This was not a default in the past, but now has become the default. After a failed attempt, what the agent does is it writes a verbal critique, stores it in memory and uses it on the next try. So the agent can recover even if it fails. Now let's talk about what is very, very interesting, which is RAG. This is the knowledge layer. This is where you can add information to the agent that it might not have already through its pre-training and training routes through online repositories. So you can have documents like PDFs, web pages, databases, internal knowledge from your company. You can chunk it, split it in parts, and then turn it into AI-ready vectors, which we do through vectorization, and all of these vectors and content is stored in what we call vectored B. So the LLM can very easily retrieve the relevant information when it receives a new query through going into the vectored B. And this is super amazing. There are a lot of ways to do RAG. There are a lot of hints and tricks to improve it. We're not going to focus on that, but RAG is one of the best and most important things in enterprise AI agent development. So if you're interested to that, I would go straight ahead and learn more about RAG. So let's talk a little bit about production frameworks, multi-agent patterns, cost engineering, observability, and guardrails. So there are a lot of frameworks that allow you to create agents. You can select an agent framework if you want to make a single agent or a multi-agent. So LangGraph allows you to create graphs with a specific state, checkpoints, and it's one of the best tools for production. It's used by so many big companies. If you want role-based agents, such as researchers, reviewers, writers, and you want to do a prototype that is multi-agent, you can try CrewAI. And AutoGen is used for research purposes. It's done by Microsoft, but in general, I would just go ahead and learn LangGraph. Observability costs guardrails. Guardrails are very important to defend your agent from doing something you don't want it to do, from attacks, which are usually prompt injections. You need to be validating the input. You need to be validating the output of the agent, so you make sure that security is enforced. Observability allows you to trace everything from metrics, tokens used, costs, what was run, what happened when, what happened wrong. This is usually done by using a second LLM as a judge of the responses, by having deterministic code run, and also have evaluation benchmarks for your agent, which you run every single time you do a major change, so you see that your agent hasn't lost its capabilities. Finally, one of the most important things is that you do cost engineering. Try to make sure that you use the correct LLM for your actions. Try to reduce the loops. Try to recover failures so you reduce iterations. Try to compact the history and the context so you don't burn multiple millions of tokens that increase your costs. At scale, cost engineering is super important. So key takeaways from everything we learned about AI agents is that you need to pick the correct LLM for your task. Don't go and use Fable for something that is simple, but don't go ahead and use a simple local LLM for something that's super hard, like autonomous coding. Write a very high quality system prompt. Give examples, give directions, guardrails, roles, tones, everything you can, you want from your agent, try to put it in the system prompt. Create high quality tools, add memory, do RAG if you have internal knowledge that you want to embed into your agent. Make sure to focus a lot on guardrails when you go into production, on cost engineering, and have a loop, have a system like Langsmith to do evaluations of your agent before you push it into production. So this was everything you need to know about beginning with AI agents. You understood how agents work, what are their core parts, what to be careful of when you go into production. You are ready to begin coding your first agents. Thank you so much for watching.